up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele. And welcome to Spitballin. Spitballin.
No, I didn't watch that shit, dude.
Dude, it's good. It's really good. Okay,
I don't go on Netflix to watch commencement speeches.
No, not commencement, acceptance speech. Yo, so let's welcome our people and then we can tell them what we're talking about.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin. Let's get it. So Sal and I were just discussing Dave Chappelle's not a special, but what would you call it on Netflix? It's a
commencement speech.
It's not a commencement speech. No, it's not. No, it's
what is it?
It's an acceptance speech. They wanted to name the theater after him at his old high school at Duke Ellington High School in DC. And so he does this whole speech, and the speech is recorded and it's aired. It's obviously on Netflix, but he recorded the speech, and in the speech he talks about his experience at the high school and what it meant to him and where he was at before that and how he got there. Man, it's a really good watch. It's only 39 minutes.
If I feel like watching a speech, then I'll maybe look into it.
It's Dave Chappelle, so it's not just a speech. Like, I watched it twice, man.
I like watching his comedy. I don't need,
Dude, that's what I'm saying. This speech is, I'm just gonna give you a highlight. I'm gonna give you one highlight. One highlight is he talks about when he moved to DC, he's sitting in the barbershop. He sat there for 2 weeks and he's watching all these guys, crack jokes on each other. And after about 2-3 weeks, like the third week, they decided to make fun of him. He says, and they went in on me. And he goes, but I've been sitting there watching these guys go at each other for the last 3 weeks. I know all their inside stories. I lit their asses up. He's like, I lit them up, right? That right there, just that alone, is funny as hell. Because he goes on, he's just like, he said, he was coming at me, I lit him up. He let him have it. And then he talks about his whole experience, man. It's really powerful. It's a really good story. And then at the end, he reveals whether or not he's going to accept, them naming the theater after him. And he talks about the kids and everything around the closer and the controversy surrounding that.
Whose speeches I would tune into? Barack Obama. That's it, dude. That's all. That's whose speeches I look forward to.
Well, you're missing out, man. I think it's really good.
All right, maybe I'll check it.
It's controversial too, because there's one point where the guy says, and I quote, I am the greatest. He was on some Muhammad Ali shit for real. So it's good.
Chappelle?
Oh yeah. I'm the greatest, bro. It was good. I look, we can have this conversation right now. You want to talk about comedy?
I mean, I love his comedy, but I think he took a ding in his legacy with his transphobic jokes.
See, now that's why you got to watch this, because I don't think he was being transphobic, right?
Yeah, well,
it's all about, of course, perception.
We could say that, but our perception as straight men will be different. I mean, we already discussed this too. My feeling is what they get wrong about the whole gender is fact thing, which is the big problem, is physically, yes, maybe not all the way, but yes, but mentally, no. And if you're going to say people are born gay, people this or that, it's the same idea I feel with trans. And the people I've interviewed who are trans, that's the conclusion I've come to. So that's where I think he gets wrong in those jokes. And that's why people say it's transphobia.
No, I get that. I can see that.
But I still think he's the best stand-up. I mean, I think his stand-up is amazing.
Yeah. And I don't think he's necessarily transphobic. I think that he's, as a comedian and an entertainer, I think that watching him and looking at what he does, I think that he's just kind of pushing the envelope. He's pushing boundaries.
And it's like, all right,
he's trying to question people.
Drop it and move on.
No, I get it.
Because it's like, how much more can you make a point of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had a comment, Reg, on the YouTube. It was Ada Harrison left a comment about how said Reggie was partially right.
Wait,
about
Ada?
The cat, about the cats being the
apex
predators, because they do have predators out there. They have like coyotes.
Coyotes,
cats. I mean, cars, that's a whole nother thing. But
cars are not hunting pets.
But they're definitely a predator. I mean, they're definitely
they're not hunting cats, man.
An
and
obstacle. They're an extra obstacle.
How about this? Let me just say this.
Deal in that environment.
Well, how about this? And you can finish what she was saying because I don't know her whole quote, but I will say this. I think that coyotes are opportunists, right? They aren't out looking for cats. They're not on their list of foods to eat. They just happen to, because coyotes will eat small dogs. They'll eat small dogs. They'll eat cats, rats, mice, whatever's available and smaller than them. So I'm not going to say that coyotes are hunting cats, right? They ain't sitting outside your house like, oh yeah, it's a cat in there. I hope they got a cat door. Ooh, I'm waiting for that cat to come out. Yeah. Here's
the full quote.
Okay.
Reggie was partially right. I hesitated to comment because this is a comedy podcast, but he said you are all science-based. So feral cats have natural enemies in the wild like coyotes and hawks. So they are a part of the ecosystem. Their predators hunt at night and the cats are out at night. The problem is house cats that wreak havoc during the day and come inside at night, not being fully a part of the ecosystem.
Okay. So once again, I think that hawks and owls and, the big predatory birds, I think they'll definitely snatch up a cat if there's an opportunity, but they ain't looking for cats. They'll snatch up anything. They'll snatch up possums. They'll snatch up rats. They'll snatch up anything smaller than them, right? They'll snatch up small dogs if they can. If they, oh man, I just lost my lights. It's like the power just went out. Oh, damn. All right. Well, I got no light right now, bro. So,
well, how do you not from what, that light on your camera or on your computer went out?
No, it's my ring light. My ring light just went out.
Is your ring light plugged into your computer?
No, it's plugged into an outlet, a regular outlet. So does that change?
What about your computer? Is your computer plugged into anything?
Yeah, the computer's plugged into the same.
So it's not your power.
Not the power.
Man, you better switch that, dude.
Well, I had
coming on. You look professional right now.
Well, I've been sitting here so long waiting for you to come on.
I burned out the light. It's only
burned out the light.
It's only been out of 15 minutes.
Hold up.
Here.
Let me do this.
Dang, Reg, killing me, Smalls. Oh, I didn't tell you my response to the quote, and now it's been such a long gap. My response to the comment was my 3 least favorite words. Reggie was right.
Hey man, don't hate the player, hate the game. Hate the game. Don't be mad at me because I was right.
Jeez, oh man. So we got a guest today, Reg. Charlene Modeste, I believe. And this woman I met at a party who gave me marijuana. And then we talked about her. She has this medical condition, and then she started a podcast about it called It's a Surprise. And so we'll have her talk more about it when she shows up.
Okay, Charlene, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to it. I want to hear her take on. I want to hear how the marijuana helps.
Oh yeah, dude, right? It helps all the time, baby.
The medicinal purposes of the marijuana. Marijuana. Louis Katz. We gotta get Louis Katz on here because he has one of my favorite jokes about.
Yeah, dude, I like Louis.
I want to hear one. I want to hear that joke about when he was in school and the instructor would come in and talk to the kids about drug use, right? And he has that joke where he's like, if you start smoking marijuana, you'll end up in the streets and you start sucking dick, right? And he's like, marijuana equals sucking dick. It's this whole
yeah. I love Louis, man. He had one of my favorite about being Jewish, and he's like how Hanukkah sucked. He's like Christmas, they're like, oh, you get 8 gifts. He's like 8 gifts. He's like, one year I got a bookmark, not a book, a bookmark, so I can hold my page. Oh, what page is this? Oh, I see page disappointment.
Yes, exactly. That was a spot on Louis impersonation. Good job. You nailed that. The cadence, the timing. That was really good.
I've been seeing the last time I saw a dude, I just happened to be in like New York, and I was walking down the street and he walked by me and he goes, Sal. I was like, oh, what's up, Louie? And now he opens for a tell a lot, man.
Yeah.
I love a lot with the tell.
I love when that happens, right? Like when out of
Oh,
nowhere.
you just like that was like how you first met Patrice.
That's exactly how I first met Patrice, walking out of Caroline's on Broadway. And then boom, that turned into a friendship that lasted till he passed away, 2011. R.I.P. Patrice O'Neal, one of the greatest. I love that dude. For me personally, one of the greatest. And we can address this whole Dave Chappelle, who's the greatest of all time discussions. And I'm talking about from this point backward, based on everyone that we know who's come before him, because that's the only way we can judge it, right? I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now, arguably for me, based on my criteria of what he brings to the stage, I don't know who can touch this dude. And
Patrice.
This is just purely stand up though, no acting. Patrice,
or who you talking about? Chappelle?
Yeah, I'm talking about Chappelle.
Patrice. Yeah, the problem with Patrice, he only has like really like 2 albums, right? That people could really reference.
And not even. I think he's got.
I mean, really, like a video. And then I thought one else came out right before he passed.
Well, he has Mr. P, the album that came out post-posthumous or whatever and that wasn't even that was just a regular set at the club. Posthumous, yeah. That was just a regular set at the club that was recorded that they released as an album. It wasn't like necessarily recorded for an album. He didn't like doing that. He has his the Elephant in the Room, his special, and then he had one other special before that that was extremely funny. And then he's got his premium blend set, and he's got tons of stand-up sets. But watching him sitting in the room, oh dude. And the guy was controversial, right? He was controversial because his opinion was not necessarily that popular. He definitely would split the room in half. He was polarizing in a lot of ways.
But he was really good at grabbing the room too, though.
Oh yeah. I remember one time.
It was cool to see.
Yeah, I remember one time I said to him before he walked on stage, I was like, all right, man, have some fun. He was like, what?
Yes.
Some fun. He's like, nigga, what you talking about? What you talking about? Have fun? This ain't fun. He's like, this ain't fun. It's like, I'm fuck out of here. I was like, all right, my bad, man.
I say that all the time. I think you should have fun.
Yeah, I'm like, let's have, because we were doing this by choice, but then that's when I realized that not everyone does it by choice. Some people do it because they have to, right? Like, it's not like I have a choice in doing this. I need to do this in order to survive. So sometimes the fun is taken from it or lost. Because I'm sitting here, just a young dude who's having a good time hanging out with who I think is one of the funniest guys ever. And I'm like, all right, being all chipper me, hey, go out and have a good time. Have fun.
It is fun. Like, it's fun. There's got to be a part of fun. That's why he did it. No.
Well, I mean, what was that quote? Was the quote
up there laughing, having a good time with it.
Yeah, I think, and he's having a good time with being able to say what he thinks, right? What he feels, his opinion, right? What's the quote inside the green room at Cobb's? It's I would rather have the whole crowd hate me than to have part of them like me, right? It's either you all in or you all out, which is a hard way to live, right? Like, it's like you either love me or you hate me. Like, damn.
What is it?
Yeah, exactly. I can't just like you a little bit. Nah, I don't want your like. I need all love or all hate, right? It's like, geez, man. All right, but I love the dude, so I was lucky to be on that side of it. These
all right, here we go. So let's let in our guest,
okay.
Reg.
All right,
good. I got to cut you off.
Yeah, really
feel good. So here's Charlene Modeste. I met her in here in LA, and there she is in the flesh. What's up, Charlene? How you doing?
I made it. So
you
sorry.
made it.
Yes.
Oh no,
welcome.
you're good. We could edit all that out so people won't even know you were late.
Awesome.
Oh, you guys started the show already?
Oh yeah. We start and then we jump. Then we just have someone jump in. So
yeah. Hi, Charlene. I'm Reggie.
This is Reggie, by the way. Oh yeah,
Hi
that's
there.
Reggie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too.
Reggie, this is Charlene. So I met Charlene at this party, and she always has weed to give out, and it's amazing, and that's what I like. And so she was telling me she got into the marijuana because well, let me ask you that. How did you first get into marijuana? Because was it before your medical condition?
Like, when did I first?
Like on the regular.
Well, yeah, because I want to hear about this marijuana and how you establish friendships by passing out weed. Everybody, does that work in LA as far as making great connections?
Yo, man,
That
showbiz,
wasn't even
baby.
the plan.
It's like, I hear you guys are casting something. By the way, here's some cookies.
Bam.
Yeah, exactly.
Bam.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I was a late bloomer as far as weed, cannabis. Like I was one of those straight laced goody two shoes. Don't touch it. If I found out, like if I was dating a guy and like he was into weed, then I wasn't into him anymore. Like
Oh, sounds like Reggie.
That's
I
yeah.
I
Hold up.
was that girl.
Well, let me ask you this, because I was the same way, right? For the
Uh-huh.
longest, where did you grow up?
Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, New York. Okay. I grew up and the reason I ask is because I grew up in Alabama. So,
Okay.
there's a whole Bible Belt and this idea, like, my mom used to call them funny cigarettes. Them people out there drinking them funny cigarettes and make them act funny, right? So I was like, ooh, that's evil, right? It's the devil. So
It's the devil's lettuce. No, my parents, they're no longer with us, but they were very the immigrants, so from the Caribbean, and they weren't the partying kind. Like Trinidad and Tobago is like the party island, like the world goes there to party for carnival.
yeah.
And somehow my parents weren't that. But it's
They were
been
partied out. They were partied out.
I guess so. So like there was no cannabis, there was no alcohol. We were just very straight laced. We're here, we're learning the terrain, behave yourself, don't get in trouble. We're not connected.
Nice. So then what was the turning point where you welcomed the CBD and the THC?
Well, it was even before I even know what CBD or THC was. It was let's see, I was working, I had entered the workforce.
Nice.
And I was working.
So did you go to college?
Yeah, after college.
I mean, that's because college is usually where they always say that kind of starts, it's like there's a
Yeah,
time and place for that
I
college.
was still really, no, that's gonna kill your brain cells. Like you're not productive. Like
Right.
literally
Yeah.
the whole hook, line, and sinker.
Okay.
And then I'd entered the workforce. Like I studied theater in school, but then I ended up working. I was in New York, so I ended up working in finance. So I wasn't anything
nice.
big in finance, but I was around traders a lot.
Okay. That's good enough. You don't have to say anything else, right? I was in finance. That's enough. Everyone's gonna think you got money now, right?
Well, yeah. Well, let me disabuse you of that notion real quick. Let's just
Okay.
Yeah. So it was through peer pressure of some of my work friends.
Oh,
So
the traders.
You succumbed.
Well, pardon?
I said you succumbed to peer pressure, like you gave in.
I didn't give in at that point. I was just really curious. I was like, well, what is this all about? And then, oh gosh, I don't even know who's going to hear this, but so funny enough, the first joint came from a cop.
Wow.
Oh, right.
While in uniform?
Not while in uniform.
Okay.
Not while in uniform. But one of my friends was dating a cop and he would score. I mean, it's really terrible. He would score weed for us.
Wow.
Wow. That would
From
change.
like off the street?
Yeah, like
really,
Grab it from wow.
dude, do you understand how much that would change like relations between cops and the community if they were passing out weed, right?
Oh, but that's the thing. He wasn't really making relations. He would go to the community and, shake somebody down.
Okay. So he was basically like, yo, you give me weed or I come arrest you. Right.
So
like
that's how he would get it. He would arrest them and take their weed.
Wow.
Really
and then
sinister.
you would smoke that.
Wow, he was smoking confiscated weed, Sal.
He wasn't smoking.
I mean,
that was
Oh, he was just giving it out.
he was gifting it to his it was a party favor for his.
Oh my goodness. I was
So
not expecting to hear this story.
so now
I wasn't expecting to tell it.
Breaking news. Oh, this is okay.
I
Keep
find it
going,
interesting
please.
though. He used to give out party favors and now you give out party favors. So I'm wondering, who do you shake down before you come to these parties?
Well, see, I don't shake anybody down. And I really have I guess that's my confession. Cause as I've gotten older and I look back, I was like, that was really messed up. Cause somebody actually got thrown into the system while we were enjoying their stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
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 Okay. Well, hold up though, because I feel like we jumped in pretty head first into all this.
yeah, right
So
on.
yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm just curious. So it sounds like so you grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and a child of immigrants from Trinidad and Tobago,
Yes.
right? Were you born in Brooklyn or were you
Yes.
born?
Yes.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
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 First generation.
Nice.
Like me, I'm first gen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have siblings growing up too?
Oh yeah.
Is it a lot of you?
Yeah.
Like 5?
I'm number 6 of 6.
Oh, you're the baby.
Wow.
Oh, you're the baby. Okay. Okay. All right, cool.
Where's
All
your
right.
fam? Are a lot of them back in New York?
We're scattered. I've got a couple siblings out here in LA, but then there's 2 more on the East Coast, and another one in Arizona.
AC.
Oh, wow.
Kind of all over.
Okay.
Are you
And
guys
so
close?
We were,
Oh, you're not so
Oh,
much anymore?
you know, parents die and then you have a grieving process. And I think we're just going through our grieving process and not handling it well.
okay. Okay. Well, so sorry for your loss. It sounds like they may have passed fairly recent.
I mean, recent enough. My dad passed like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And my
Okay.
mom 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so sorry for your loss. Yeah. That's and people are still struggling or adjusting to life without them. It sounds like they kind of.
Yeah, no, they were, when you talk about salt of the earth and like people who are just devoted to each other and their kids and just, doing the thing, we were living the American dream and that's what
Right.
we're here for. I'm kind of glad they're not here to see what it's become.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
But
really.
we were doing that. We were
Okay.
doing that, and we feel I can only speak for myself. I still feel lost, and it's something that you just learn to live with it. You don't have to get over it, but you just learn how to live with
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Sal and I have discussed that. We have a couple podcasts early that we were talking about loss and just how it affects your life. Like for the people who are close to you, you never truly get over it. Like there's no getting over it. Like you said, there is just living with the loss, like managing day to day with that person not being here to some degree. So yeah, it's tough. Okay. So
Let me ask you, what brought you to LA?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you mentioned studying acting.
Yeah, I was that girl too.
Okay.
I'm moving to lost that my dream is to be an actress, because I just had so much emotions. I didn't know what to do with my emotions.
Nice.
Put it on the stage, perform with it, and that is my playground when I allow myself to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so how's it been going from? I mean, because acting in New York, especially stage acting, right? I mean, I feel like that's the place to be for stage. So LA, that's for TV, right?
Yeah,
TV and movies.
I was yeah, that is correct. But I also wanted to get out of New York. It was my hometown. Everyone, I don't know about everyone, but like you just feel a need to branch out and leave familiar things.
Absolutely. That's how you grow, right? That's how you you got to step out your comfort zone. Okay.
So,
How long have you been in LA?
Goodness. Well, when I made the first leap, it was 2001.
Okay.
Right before 9/11, like May of 2001.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that was the first leap. So that means that you left.
Yeah, and then my health took a turn and I left right back home. Like, help, I got help.
Okay.
I needed help. I have this condition, it's uterine fibroids. I've been dealing with it for years. I had them surgically removed. Then they returned, and then the job that I was in here in LA, it was 2008. Things were happening. People were getting fired and let go, and they were downsizing and shifting. And I was just one of those heads that rolled.
Okay.
And then I didn't have insurance, and then I couldn't get another surgery. And then this is before Obamacare, and So like, well, yeah, you've got it, but it's not terminal. So, come back when you have insurance.
Wow, really? Okay, so yeah, since it's not terminal, then it's they don't have to have the surgery, right?
I don't know, laws are laws and people do what they do according, to be compliant to things, but it just leaves people in the lurch.
Right.
Just because
Wow.
I wasn't terminal didn't mean I didn't need the procedure.
Right. Like it sounds like it's okay to live with discomfort or pain, right?
It's a lot of things. It's very disruptive. And because
Okay.
it's one of those, I'm talking to guys about my feminine woes. but
No,
it's
this is
No,
great
well,
though.
it's,
Yeah.
well, that's the thing. We need to learn.
Yeah.
but it's like, it's one of those things, like you don't, I mean, I remember in school, guys being guys, and like they would think that girls were making it up, like if we had to miss class or we had cramps.
Right.
We're bleeding uncontrollably and we hurt and I
Right.
can't make it to class or I can't make it to work today or whatever. And it was just like, oh, it's just an excuse. It's just that, it's not real. It's whatever. So there's just a lot of denial because you don't see it physically. Like you can't see that I'm having cramps. Like, what does that look like?
Right.
What does it look
Right.
like if you're the innards, the inner workings that happens when all of this, like it is not fun. But it doesn't show on the outside. So the assumption is that it's not happening because it's not visible.
It's
So
crazy. You were like one of the victim of the times, and you're part of the reason why they needed Obamacare. And it's
true.
like,
And as flawed as it still is, it's definitely necessary. Like, but by the time Obamacare kicked in, these tumors that were operable were no longer, they were so large. Well, you've seen me, Sal.
yeah.
So they're so large at that point. They're like, well, if we perform any procedure, we're just going to give you a hysterectomy. That's it. And I was like, well, I disagree with that because I need my uterus. Thank you very much. I don't care if I never have a child. I want my uterus. I need it. It does things in my body that I enjoy, and you can't take it away from me. And why not? I'm not terminal. You were fine to leave me to my own devices when I didn't have insurance. But now that I do, now you're telling me like, I have to have this procedure. And I didn't like that. So I said, no thanks, but no thanks. But I know where to find you if I have a change of heart. And that's around, well, lots of things happened. By that time, I'd moved back home. I found out that my mom was ill. Then in that first year, she got diagnosed with lung cancer. She was never a smoker, ever.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. Where did she work? Where did she work? Did she work around chemicals or in factories or?
No. She was,
no, because that's a real thing. So, okay.
Yeah, but I've heard of like Andy Kaufman that happened to him. He never smoked and he got lung cancer. Like you never know.
Well, there's a guy I know currently who's his dad has lung cancer and he's not a heavy smoker, but he's worked in, he was like engineering, right? Like in mechanical engineering. So he's always been around fumes and things of that nature. So,
I mean, the air.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
So that was really, that was very harsh and abrupt. And, she was diagnosed in April. She was gone by August. And then I didn't know what to do with myself or how to behave, or just like, I just had to rework everything. And my dad was really great because he just let me be a bump on a log for a considerable amount of time while I went to my bereavement group to help deal with all of this.
Oh, that's great.
And then I stumbled across some information about cannabis. It was this study out of Spain, Dr. Manuel Guzman, and it was a little blurb that said cannabis shrinks tumors, whether they're benign or malignant. And I was like, oh yeah, since when? What is this?
Right.
And then that got me to go down the rabbit hole. And that's when I started to see Sanjay Gupta on CNN, and he had his special. And then there was this Canadian guy, Rick Simpson, like saying, I was like, cannabis oil, and you just need to get the essential oil from the plant and it'll heal. He's like, I you keep asking me what does it heal? I'd be hard pressed to tell you what it doesn't heal.
Right.
That's that guy. He's up in Canada, and he was
Right.
just growing his cannabis on his property, making this oil, extracting the essential oils, and he cured himself of skin cancer. He helped other friends help themselves of, and I mean, it's cancers. It's like really major things. And there was, I mean, it's really great with pain, but there's no like, it wasn't, this is like a, like plant medicine. So like there's no guidebook or anything. This is people experimenting with the plants, kind of like how humans did since the dawn of time, and figuring out what works. And then I found out that cannabis has always been with us, and it's only within the last 100 years that there's been this big hubbub and to do about it so dangerous, and it's not. So every politician that you see saying that cannabis will kill your kids, they're lying. They
Nice.
do not deserve to be in office. They are lying. They are perpetuating lies. They have studies that show, they would do studies to show like how harmful cannabis is or what harm it causes, and then they'll find out like, oh no, it's actually beneficial. And so then they'll
Right.
press the studies because it didn't say what they wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Well,
about
so
control.
you were in a lot of pain at that time.
I mean, yeah,
What?
a lot. But
Like,
you
what
mean
does that feel like? Like you
pain?
just like stabbing in your stomach or like your body? Like, how's that pain?
That's kind of different. I was referring to like emotional pain.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
But
I-
physical pain, like they're bulky and they take up space and they're heavy, and it's just really annoying. It's just like it. I mean, tape a basketball to your belly and see how you like it. You know, it's like
Right.
it's just
That's
it's in the way. It's in the way.
Wait.
And
Okay,
has
that's what
marijuana shrunk it or helped
Well,
that
yeah.
way
So
physically?
when I found out about, when I read this, it's like, okay, well, I am on the internet and people say a lot of things on the internet. Like, is it true? And then I started hearing doctors, reputable doctors. And I mean, if you got one in Spain and another one in the States, and then there's Dr. Meshulam down in Israel, I go, well, that's three people
that
that
aren't
know what they're
connected.
talking about, that
Right.
aren't, they're in three different countries.
Saying the same thing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, where can I get my hands on like that amount of cannabis? Because you need a lot to make the oil. And I was like, Northern California.
There
So
you go.
I got myself on a plane. Like it was like maybe a year after my mom passed, like I had started to, like I was in a cloud of grief, right? Like I wasn't interested in living at all. Well, not even living, but I just had all this pain I didn't know what to do with, all this grief I didn't know what to do with. And then it was like a fog started to lift, and I was like, well, I still have these tumors. Like
Right.
what are we gonna do about this? And so I took off to Northern California because like I was like, isn't that where the Emerald Triangle is? Like if I just plot myself somewhere in the area, I'm gonna trip over cannabis. And I did. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah,
what
it's everywhere.
and there's a cannabis community, and when people knew that this is what I was doing or what I was attempting, they helped. They they helped a great deal. They would pretty much give me the things that they would toss in the trash.
Okay.
Trim.
Yes.
I just really just needed trim, and then I could make the oil.
So you would make it yourself.
Well, I didn't start making it myself. I tried, I went to a dispensary. I bought like I found like there, it's not even available, that it's not relative at that time. Very few manufacturers make cannabis oil. not for a vape cartridge, but cannabis oil, like the full extract cannabis oil,
Mhm.
Okay.
full plant, full spectrum. You want as many cannabinoids as you can get in that oil. And then they do their thing, like they're having a conversation with the cells in your body and they're putting everything back into balance. So you might be taking cannabis oil for pain, but then you also notice that if you've got swollen joints, well, all the inflammation has gone down because it just works on everything. So like there
Right.
is no one dose that's going to do one thing. It's going
Right.
to do anything and everything to get your body back into balance.
Nice.
How do you, can I ask, how do you make the oil?
Okay, so it's dangerous, so you got to be outdoors.
Really? Oh my, it's like moonshine.
Yeah, you get
Okay.
yourself some like alcohol, like isopropyl alcohol. This is the homegrown way how to do it, right? There are companies that can manufacture this stuff and they've got their pristine procedures, but I don't have access to that material. So like if you want to, if you're in a pinch and you got yourself like a half a pound or a pound of like trim or bud, you soak that in isopropyl alcohol, like 99%. Like you want the as much, like you don't want like what you get at CVS where it's like 70%. You want like 99%.
Okay. As potent as you can get.
You soak that in there and all that sticky stuff that's on the leaves, that's the medicine.
Oh,
Mhm.
Like you
okay.
soak the plant matter in the alcohol and then that separates the essential oils from the plant. Then you strain out the plant matter and then you've got this liquid, this alcohol with all of that oil floating in it. And then alcohol being alcohol, it burns off rather quickly.
Right.
And then
Evaporates.
what you've got left is this oil. It has like a consistency. It's really thick, like molasses.
Wow.
So do you put the
This
oil?
isn't, yeah, is it in a
What-
pot?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it in a beaker or a pot of some sort and you heat it up?
I now use a beaker. When I first
Okay.
started, I was using a rice cooker because you can't have it over open flame because everything's gonna blow up. It's alcohol.
Right, right.
So either a slow cooker or a rice cooker, anything that doesn't have an open flame. Now that I've advanced, my tools have advanced, so I do use a beaker and a hot plate.
I just knew you were about to say after blowing up a couple things. I discovered, I might want to change the
A
way I
couple
do this.
craters in her
Right.
yard.
Neighbors are standing up like, what the hell?
Man, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
So now you're left with oil in the beaker. So
Uh-huh.
then what?
And okay, so then you've got that. Then that's the medicine.
That's
It's extraordinarily potent,
Mhm.
and you can take it just like that, but like it'll knock you out. Like the initial dose when you're taking cannabis oil, like this version of cannabis oil is half of a rice grain. Like literally stick a toothpick in there, get as much on like a rice grain in half. That is your first dose. And you will sleep
Wow.
like a baby.
How do you take it?
You put it in that version, I put it under your tongue and you just let it absorb into the vessels and it gets into your bloodstream
Yeah.
that way.
That's a quick
Or
way.
you could smear it on a cracker.
So
And
you
it
have to
takes what,
ingest
like
it.
a
So you
half
have to
hour?
ingest it, right? Like you can't just rub it on. Like it needs
No,
to
it's
be ingested.
ingested.
Okay.
And then the other way, the most effective way that I've come where you can get a massive, because you're still going to get incredibly high. You can build up a tolerance, but it takes a few weeks before you're not delirious
Mhm.
when you're ingesting that amount. But speaking of butts, that's where it goes, up the poop chute.
Oh, okay.
Now, how does that distribute it? You're not using a toothpick.
No. Not using a toothpick.
Yeah. I don't even know how to respond to that, Sal. A toothpick? Really?
Well, she's used the oil before, so I'm curious.
So when it's in suppository form, you have to mix it with the carrier oil just to make it a little more viscous and easier to absorb in the body. So it's either I use like either coconut oil or hemp seed oil just to make sure that it's a little fluid, and it goes into a syringe, like a one
Oh, okay. And then you just,
syringe.
yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So
Is that
before
like instant once that happens?
Well, then it from the back door, it just goes straight into the bloodstream. What gets you high is that it gets metabolized by the liver, and then there's a chemical reaction, and then you get the head high. But if you go in through the rectum, it bypasses the liver and it goes straight into your bloodstream, and there is no high. So that's that way
Oh,
you can take a large dose. So I get a lot of cannabis in my system without the high, and I prefer that because
you can still
it's
function.
exhausting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Like when I
interesting.
first started, it was just like I literally would just sit in a chair and have people make fun of me because I was just,
You're out of it.
used
Okay,
to
so I have a quick question for you. There's a couple. First, how long does that whole process take? Soaking the weed in the alcohol and then cooking off the alcohol, gathering the oil, I mean, straining it, and then how long does that take normally?
Well, the soaking and straining part can take, I mean, some people soak their stuff overnight, but you
Okay.
only need like a few minutes. Like, so like within 5 to 10 minutes, you've got everything is off the leaves.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it happens really quickly then.
How long does it cook down before it separates?
Now the cooking process is what takes a while, because like how much alcohol did you start with? Like did you
Right.
start with, are we talking a gallon of alcohol? Are we talking a half a gallon of alcohol? But it'll cook off pretty quickly, the bulk of it. But you want to make sure it's all gone. So like
Right.
that last bit, so you make sure you get all of the alcohol out. Like I let that sit on a hot plate on low heat for a day. Like I'll just let it sit
Wow.
there.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so 24 hours, basically, roughly 24 hours from beginning to end. The other question I was going to ask, I wanted to ask this way earlier, because we were talking about the tumors, because I've never seen you. You said Sal had seen you before, but I was, just for our audience too, just to get an idea of what size we're working with, or relation to size, soft baseball, tennis ball, golf ball, softball, baseball,
Baby
volleyball.
size.
Baby size. So part of what with
Baby,
Charlene
like,
is people constantly ask her if she's pregnant, and
When am I due?
and her,
When
she
are
has a
you due?
when she's due, and she has a podcast now called It's a Surprise, because she
Okay.
gets this question so often that now that is her answer.
Well, hold up though. That's like, I mean, I felt like everybody should have learned. You never ask that question of a woman, right?
I know, but it's like, first of all, I get it. I hear
Okay.
that, but I am like, I wish I would have worn a different top because I would stand up. But I'm
But
literally
it's
like
basically that though. It's
I'm
like being
taking
looking
Vanity
like
Zoom, and I'm in this crop top, which
Yeah,
I'm.
no, you don't have to.
No.
Right.
But no, I'm so pregnant looking. I don't blame people. I just wish they would not be so intrusive.
Yeah, right. Like,
Right.
They want to touch, and there's like, I don't know.
Wow.
yeah,
So
that's
but yeah, so I look very, very pregnant, very, 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 very pregnant. And so I have to maneuver around people's questions. And I lost my train of thought. I was really going to say something, but I forgot what the question was. What was I responding to?
well, no, I was just asking about the size of the tumors, but you've cleared that up for me now. So I think our audiences have a good idea. I'm sorry. I almost want to apologize on a couple levels. For one, I'm sorry that people are so intrusive and ask questions all the time. And also the fact that they come up, because I know people who, I've seen this in public, where people come up and put their, oh, what is it? Like touch someone else's belly. And I'm like, that's their body, bro. Like you can't go up and touch someone's body.
And this is
bro.
like years and like every day. I mean, I
Dude.
imagine almost every day you deal with this.
And also, I want
People
to say
have
this one too.
different,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and the other one is going back, way back to when you were talking about boys not understanding what women are experiencing or girls are experiencing in high school with the cycles, the menstrual cycles, and the cramps and things of that nature. I remember distinctly, I have a really good friend that I've known since kindergarten. She used to, like, that time of the month for her was brutal. right? It was brutal. She would miss days of school and she would complain about the headaches, right? She would get migraine headaches and she would have this horrible, pain in this area. And I do recall guys being like, man, whatever, because they would see other girls who were also on their cycle not having such a difficult time, right? And so I'm sorry that you experienced that, but I recall that firsthand as a young person and being like, dude, she don't feel, and obviously she was a good friend of mine, so I felt the need to defend. I got like a superhero complex, one of Reggie's here, right? Right. So I'm really sorry that you experienced that. That sucks because young people can be really dumb when it comes to things.
It's not even young. It's not always young people. It's full grown on adults. Like I had,
people,
I remember I was working at this theater, one of my first jobs out of college. I was working at a theater, I was doing children's theaters, like bus and truck, right? Going from school to school, doing our little shows. And the manager, the theater manager, he was like the one senior thing. And he's like, oh yeah, she said she's on her cycle, but haven't you learned how to control that by now? And that's like a grown man saying this.
That's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Exactly. It's like, I suffer from rapid heartbeat. Haven't you figured out how to stop your heart from doing a thing? Right? Like, I got this breathing thing. You ain't figured out your lungs yet? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. That's dumb.
Yeah, it's wild. So I mean, and it just keeps going, because then you see like that same attitude across the board. And now like the laws are now getting with like these guys that don't have a clue about the feminine body or what it needs or requires, and have no respect for it at all, thinking that they can mandate.
Right.
Yeah. I just saw an article this morning that said a woman had to carry her dead fetus for 2 weeks. 2 weeks because of the laws that have been passed now. And that's just, that's traumatizing, psychologically, physically, emotionally. Like,
it's dehumanizing.
It's
You're not a human being. You are property at this point.
Right.
When it's like that. And they're, so I mean, if men, I want to see a man just get one menstrual cramp. Like not even the whole thing, not even the whole duration. Just want to see what the response would be with just.
Well, there is like a video, like they put something on them and like electric shock them to try and mimic it, and no guy, they're all in pain. They can't take it at all.
Yeah.
So a week of that.
Well, hold up, just to y'all, to y'all benefit, you did start early, right? Like it started to, like you work.
You got more time to be used to the pain.
I'm being dumb. I'm being silly. I'm like, because you started as a little kid.
No, when it starts, it starts. It doesn't take it easy on you. It's like you're a kid. You're like,
exactly.
I don't know, some people.
It's like I'm 11. Can you please like ease me into this? Like, no, it starts when it starts. Yeah, I get it. I was just being silly.
Hey, so you said you could buy cannabis oil at places, but it's really still hard to find, huh?
And it's hella expensive.
Really?
And it's medicine. So like I need to take my dose every single day.
Right.
So that it's not covered by insurance.
I do remember when you first told me like you took it suppository form. I was like, oh man, that's gotta be tough to pass the joint over after that. I was like, no, I'm good. You can pass it the other way.
Like, no, I'm okay. You go ahead.
Yeah, there's no joints up my butt.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, and plus, Al, I would imagine if it was passed that way, wouldn't it just go from butt to butt? Like, like all right, pass that over. Like, thank you. Right.
I don't know what kind of party you guys are going to, but that is.
She's like, no, this is a single use type of deal.
Well, tell us about your podcast so we can promote that, because I thought this was a cool idea, and that's what first even gave me this idea.
Yeah, well, yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on your show. I started my podcast back in April 4/20.
Oh, nice. Nice, smart.
And it's really just me telling the story. It's my personal story about healing with cannabis, and then all of the nonsense that I'm seeing with laws being made, or why I mean, seriously, why is it illegal in the first place when you actually get to know the plant and you
Right.
realize that it's non-toxic, it does no harm to humans. Like, you can't even take too much of it. If you make a mistake and you either take too much, you misdose or overdose yourself with cannabis, it never ends up with death,
Mhm.
like aspirin
Right.
that you have in your
Right.
medicine cabinet. So
Yeah.
like, it's safe. It is such a safe plant in any form. And why are these laws this way? And so they kept it. First, it was a nothing plant, right? It was growing in the cracks in the street. Nobody cared. And then all of a sudden, it was illegal. And then Black and brown people suffered and still suffer. And that's why they get locked up and thrown in jail
Right.
for cannabis charges. And then all of a sudden, now that they realize, like, oh, we can make money from this.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's always about the money, being able to monetize it.
And then you see people making millions of dollars selling cannabis while there are people rotting in jail for selling cannabis. And
Well, hold up though. Let's take it a step further, because now that they've passed the laws, then they've regulated so much, or they have these rules surrounding it, that it's almost impossible for the people who actually were making money on it illegally to be able to make money on it now, right?
yeah,
So
because there's a fee, and there's a tax, and there's a license, and then there's an overtax and a premium tax, and it's still agriculture, it's still farming, you're still dealing with a plant. Like, anything can and does go every which way throughout the growth cycle of
right.
this crop. It's alive. This time it might be free and clear. The next time you might have bugs, you might have mold, like maybe you like it doesn't, like, you just don't know what you're gonna get. And then, but before you even know what your crop is, you've already paid all these taxes that, like, where you have to make money, but you don't even know that if you can, like, they're punishing people for growing a plant doesn't even cause harm. And then you think
Right.
about the actual plant, and if you want to talk about, well, it's for safety, people have house plants that'll kill their pets, and they still have them.
Oh, because the pets will eat the plants by mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say, like, oh, if you have pets, this isn't a safe plant to have, or what have you. But people don't know that. They go to Home Depot,
Oh
they want
yeah,
this
yeah.
plant,
Right.
and then they've got cats or something, and next thing you know, like, your cat is ill, or your puppy's ill because it chewed on a leaf. And so you have all these plants, you have access to these plants, you can keep them, they're causing major harm. Even if you have babies, babies put everything in their mouth.
Right.
No problem. That's allowed. We'll trust you to use your discretion and run your household the way you see fit. But cannabis, no, that's
Yeah.
and then it's not dangerous. It's literally
Right.
not even toxic. It's not, when I say non-toxic, it is non-toxic. It is safe. Like, it's kind of even, I mean, I'll joke around and say, like, well, it's kind of safer than water because people drown.
That's true.
That's really good. That's nice. Wow.
All right, so it's a surprise.
Oh yeah, so sorry, I got so sidetracked.
No, it was
No.
good. That was perfect. Yeah, that was
I can
great.
see how you fill up time on your podcast. You just go.
Well, and you have all the information. Like, you are right there.
You're very smart. You do have a lot of knowledge on the topic.
Yeah, very
Well,
informed.
thank you. I am challenged with the podcast though, because like I clammed up like for the last couple of months. Like, I was going strong. Like, I started out, and then we had started having all these shootings, and then
Right.
it was one shooting, and then before I could even get over that one, like there's what's the Rochester, then Buffalo, then Texas, and then a rash, just like everywhere, like and I was like, I really feel like it's some kind of psychological warfare that's going on with all of every day there's a new like atrocity that we have to deal with and hold and feel helpless about.
Right.
And then you have people actively getting in the way of any kind of progress. Or remedy.
Right.
Yeah. It's so frustrating right now. So frustrating.
It's an uphill battle. We're gonna be fighting for a while.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would sit down in front of my microphone. I was like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk today. And so like I've really been just coaxing myself back to my podcast. And I'm duty bound to this. Like this is information that people need to learn and know, but I would also like to keep the tone of my podcast. And I'm so pissed right now. Like I can't not
Oh,
be pissed.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
People
just
will be like, that cannabis oil ain't working.
I'm waiting. I'm literally like coaxing my sense of humor back to
Yeah, that
myself so
makes
I can
sense.
Yeah.
actually like put a podcast that's like people would like to listen to rather than me rant and rave, which is really what it's why I'm silent.
All
Nice.
right, well, thank you, Charlene. Anything else you
Well,
want
hold
to
up.
ask, Reg? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask. So how long have you been doing the cannabis oil?
It's been years, but it's
Okay.
also been years of not having it. Right. So I
Mm.
was living up north in Northern California. I worked my way into this community, a supportive community, where I had like I was talking about cannabis oil, but there's also cannabis juice, like wheatgrass. Like if you got
Oh.
like raw cannabis leaf,
Mhm.
a shot of cannabis juice is a wonderful thing for the body. It's raw
Wow.
cannabinoids. It's raw. It's a different. It's in its acidic form, which is also has a different effect on the body. You don't get high with raw cannabis as well. And I'm not a proponent, like I don't really care about get high or not high. Like I just think it's really hypocritical of Americans in particular to talk about, well, does it get you high when they're totally fine with cocaine and heroin,
Yes.
you
And
know,
yeah.
and alcohol,
Cigarettes.
And alcohol. Yeah. I mean,
and
people.
coffee and just
Right.
all of that. So every other stimulant is fine, but this one is all of a sudden like people are up in arms about it and it's so dangerous. Like the hypocrisy is just baffling, especially when it's standing in the way. Like we're talking about people's lives, their quality of life, their health. Like there's stories about people healing themselves of brain cancer, lung
Mhm.
cancer, colon cancer, all kinds of cancers, in addition to like Crohn's disease or seizures or any neurological disorder. Like all of this, people are finding their conditions are improving with
Mhm.
cannabis. Smoking is, or inhalation, that's one way. And that's really light. That's a light dose.
Mm.
When you start talking about ingesting it and getting it into your system, like even with the raw leaf, with whether it's the juice or the oil, that's a deep level of healing that they're in the way of. These laws are barring people from their health and their quality of life. And there's like, well, you need to get back to the workforce. Well, if people were healthy, maybe they would
Right.
willing to
Right.
step back into the workforce. But if you're falling apart and you're actually standing in the way of the remedy, then who does that helps no one.
Right.
Right.
Well, and also I think we just came out of a fairly traumatic event in our history as people, right? Or not even fairly, but a traumatic event.
We're
And so
still in it.
we're still in it. And so people, so this idea, it's almost like they send young people off to war, right? They see some of the worst things that they could ever experience, and then it's supposed to come home and be normal, right?
Right.
Like there needs to be a processing, like a healing from what we just experienced.
And there's no
I will say
time
this,
because now we got monkeypox.
right? That's funny. But I have heard that ingesting, like, you know, when people bake cookies or whatever, like I've always heard that, because I don't really, I work at a place where I get randomly drunk.
Reggie, have you ever smoked weed?
You asked me this on the podcast now, Sal?
Right now, in front of the
right
world.
now. Breaking news, folks.
So
okay.
that means you're giving
Well, hold
me
up,
like
though,
a
let
Bill
me-
Clinton vibe right now. So it seems like you
No,
have,
no,
but you didn't inhale.
Yeah, I just held it in my mouth. Right now.
You
So
gross.
so what I did was, I'll tell you, it was my buddy's AJ's bachelor party in Vegas. I think I was like 32, 33 or somewhere around there. And I told him, yes, I'll admit it, square as they come. I was like, yo, AJ, for your bachelor party, I'll do it. right? And he had started smoking on a regular basis at this point. So we get there, it's like 15 of us. We were deep, and they had this joint. And I've seen enough rap music videos to know how to take a drag on the joint, right? So I take it.
So you put it in your butt.
I take a hit. I take deep tokes. I'm like, hit it twice, maybe 3 times, to the point they was like, yo, man, pass the weed. I was like, okay, because I didn't know how was going to be the effect. So I do one of these because I seen it in the movies. I'm like, all right, hold up.
No, twice. Puff, pass.
Take it in, and I go like this. And I literally just enjoyed the whole moment, right? It's in my lungs. I'm like, and then I did this. I let it come out, and I go, like I chased it, like I let the smoke come out, and then I sucked it back in. And then I was like, and I'm gonna tell you right now what happened. Nothing.
That happened your first time a lot.
I did not get
say
high.
that.
And everybody
Did it
else
again?
I
mean, it's probably not enough after 15 people. That goes quick.
But then the rest of everybody else is sitting around.
Yeah.
Everybody else is feeling good. And I'm just like, so is that it? Right? Like, what's happened? So yes, I have. But
that was it though? No, dude. Charlene, get on the beaker. We'll get a syringe and we're gonna hook Reg up.
Oh yeah, well, you can have a syringe.
No, because the syringe, you don't get high with the syringe, Sal.
Oh, you don't.
Right?
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
I mean,
that's
that's
alcohol.
That's if you put it in, if it goes in the rear, but you could take that same syringe and drop it into your coffee.
Or you put it in my tongue. And I hear under the tongue is like the quickest way to get something into your system, because the
under
blood
your tongue.
vessels, it's really thin. Like under the skin is really thin. There's a lot of blood vessels, and so once it starts to dissolve, it hits your bloodstream really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can do that. But listen, I feel like we're wrapping up, but before I go, I need to draw attention to, like, I guess, how Sal and I connected. Not that I know that's the story. Like, oh
no, that's great.
Over weed. There's this program. So in the state of California, and California is like one of these awesome states. Like, we're not perfect, but when we try to problem solve with integrity, things actually get done. And they noticed, like, when California went for adult use, because it's been medicinal use since like the 90s.
Yeah.
But then these recent laws for adult use pretty much made it, everyone that was using it medicinally all of a sudden found that they didn't have access to what they had before. Like they would, things have to be packaged a certain way. It'd have to be airtight seal. So like things disappeared off the market, and they made it more cost prohibitive for the patients, which is how why cannabis is where it is, was because patients kept it alive, and people that were focused on healing with patients kept it alive. And so they introduced a bill, SB 34, which is the Compassionate Care Act, also known as the Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary Act. This is actually what I'll be talking about in my next podcast when I actually step to the mic. But the Compassionate Care Act, they've created a pathway for brands to donate products directly to patients. And so there are organizations and nonprofit organizations that coordinate all of this stuff. So because I am a patient and I'm part of the SB 34 Compassionate Care program, they'll have, maybe every month and a half or so, there'll be an event where they give away products. And so that's how I get a lot of my medicine comes that way. And sometimes I have a surplus, or there are things that I just won't use, and that's when I end up at the parties and say, hey.
You know what I love about
favors.
this is like, you started as like a victim during the political times of the 2000s, and now there's something political that is helping you out with SB 34. It's like kind of full circle.
Full circle over, like, this life, the wheel of fortune is turning round and round.
Yeah.
And life is what you make it. And it just I'm stubborn. I mean, I know, like, there's a lot of people that would not have put up with the discomfort of what I'm putting up with a
Mm,
long time ago. They would have just not done. And people, it's all again, it's personal choice. And some people, their conditions, like they don't have a choice. It's either have your hysterectomy or, your condition is terminal, and that is the avenue to healing for that person.
right.
Right.
But with
Right.
me, I have a lot more leeway. I'm not terminal. I'm definitely uncomfortable, and it's
Mhm.
wreaking havoc in my life, and it makes getting work or jobs really challenging.
Okay.
Because if you're an employer and you see a woman that's 9 months pregnant, or you assume her to be 9 months pregnant, you're not hiring her.
Right.
Mm.
Because you assume she's going to be out
You're gonna
at
train
some
her, and then
point.
she's gonna be gone
Right. Right.
for an extended period of time. And even when I try to put them at ease and say, "Oh, no, 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 this is tumors," and they're like, "It's what?"
Right. Right.
So then it's like, "Oh, well, you're still gonna be gone. Like, you still got health issues." So like, I'm just not
Mm.
attractive to employers. And so
Mm.
then I'm like an actor, so like, but I'm not really attractive to my own industry either, because like everyone's distracted by the belly unless I'm specifically playing a pregnant woman.
Right.
Um, but they still have to be open to the conversation. And then
Right.
Wow. I mean, this is you just touched on a whole
I mean,
another
it's deep,
topic.
man.
Yeah,
It
because
is
I'm like,
deep.
so then how do you make your living? Right? How do you work if employers are afraid that you're pregnant and then you tell them you're not pregnant, then they say, well, you have health complications, right? And then the industry is like, well, we're not looking for a pregnant woman, and you're like, well, I can't not look pregnant. It's what do you do? How do you?
exactly. So I'm figuring that out.
A lot of cannabis.
Okay.
I'm figuring
Okay.
that out.
Okay.
My goal right now is to heal and get myself better. I did like I started to edge into voiceover work where
Oh,
no one has to see me there.
that's perfect. And you have a
Yeah,
great
that's-
voice, by the
yeah,
way,
that's a
too.
good point.
Thank you.
Yes.
I do have a film that'll be premiering in September. The theatrical
Awesome.
premiere. It premiered at Sundance earlier, but now it's gonna have a theatrical premiere in September.
Okay.
It's called Riotsville, USA. It's a
Right.
documentary. It's really stellar work. Like, I came in at the end, but these people have been working on it, these filmmakers, 6 years in the making
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
for this
Okay.
film. And when I tell you that it is well crafted, and
Wrightsville,
it
USA.
Riceville,
Right.
USA,
Okay. So keep an eye out for that, folks.
for that.
And the last thing is, so you've been doing the oils, you have the tumors. Has it worked? Is it working? Like, do you feel like there's progress?
Well, okay, so I was up in Northern California. So this story is just like so wild. And I know we're gonna get off the phone soon, or this call soon, but like, here's a big part of the story is like, I was living up north and doing really well as far as progressing. Like, I'd gone to the doctors, we had comparative MRIs that were showing deteriorating and degenerating tumors, right? So
Nice.
like MRI proof. And I was like, cool, I just got to keep this going. Like,
Mhm.
make sure I have my cannabis juice, my cannabis smoothies, my cannabis oil. It's all going to work out. And then a wildfire came and blew through town and burned everything
Oh,
down. So then I'm not there anymore. I'm no longer in Northern California. I'm in Southern California, and it's a completely different lifestyle. There aren't farms here.
right.
So this SB 34 program, so like that was, when was the fire? I think it was like in 2017. So we're talking about 2018, 2019,
Mhm.
no cannabis.
Right.
And seeing like all the progress that I'd made, reverse.
So it's a constant thing. There's not going to be a point, like your body is going to always be trying to make these tumors, right?
Yeah, I just need to hit it with cannabis oil consistently enough,
Consistently. Right.
and then it goes away. But like when I have a lapse
Right.
in the medication, then that's when I have a really big problem. So, I mean, I don't know who listens to your podcast, but I know like there's comedians out there that are into cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and your girl needs help.
Okay.
Help a sister out.
Yeah, for real. And you got to ask. That's nothing wrong with asking. That's the only way. Closed mouths don't get fed, right? And
All
so,
I'm saying, I know like people got whole farms.
all right. Well, how about this? This is just my quick moment. Do the voiceover, right? Get into the voiceover, because you can work from anywhere with voiceover now. Like, especially with our technology. Do the voiceover. Move back to Northern California, right? Get the money from the voiceover, buy the farm.
Just been
Right?
making it all.
I'm saying, and then you can help us all heal. I'll buy.
Hey,
I'm not tripping.
I'm game, like who's, I'm totally game for that. But like that's a big voiceover contract right there.
Yeah, Reg, damn, I'm
Farmland in Northern California, like
that's true. Well, hey, I dream big. You got to dream big, right? Like I'm looking for the lottery. I'm looking for the lottery voiceover joint, right? Well, so, I'm hoping that for you, right? And if you can't buy the farm, then just come up here and be around the farms, and that way you can get your stuff. And then
that's what I'm saying. I know like there's people out there like within earshot. They know I'm one degree away from some really huge people that got farms growing cannabis. That do you need a trimmer? I can trim for you. Let me hang out on your farm and medicate myself.
Yo, that's a real thing. Honestly, I'm like, no joke. I think I might know.
You might know a trimmer.
I know two people. I want to say I know two people who have access. So I could throw out something. And if I hear about something,
hit it up. Yeah.
Come on, man. This is me, so like her. I'm literally like 1 degree of separation from like everybody, which is crazy.
Let's make it happen.
I'll try. Look, I'll put a feeler out, because I know
talk to your farm folk. Well, Reggie's up there. Reggie's up in the Bay.
Yeah, I'm in Northern California.
He has closer connections, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Bay.
Right on. Right. Yeah, I enjoyed my time up there. It was so healing, like being up in the redwoods and just walking through
the beautiful.
Oh, yeah, the fresh air and just being around trees and
the hush, the hush of it.
Quiet, right? Yeah. Now that's healing in itself.
And the deer, they'll come up to you because they don't fear man in the Muir Woods.
Yeah.
It was I try to explain it sometimes. I mean, it wasn't all this, like there was mess, but like for the times of beauty, like it just felt like I was like, this is feeling very Disney princess right now. It's very picture.
That's awesome.
All right, well, thank you very much, Charlene. I gotta get through it and then edit all this. So
yes. Charlene,
well, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for sharing your story. It's awesome. And everyone check out our podcast. It's a surprise.
Yes, it's been a pleasure meeting and speaking with you. Thank you so much for being so open with us and sharing your story. Good luck to you. I'm super excited about the podcast and everything else that's coming. I think voiceover that's the way to go. You got a great voice. I'm like,
thank you kindly.
Yeah,
thank you.
So good luck to you, and thank you once again.
And Reg, hook her up with that trim connection.
I will. I'm serious. Like, and now I put it on here. I got to do it, right? Like I got.
We got proof now.
We got proof. Right?
Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for like amplifying the voice and the story. And there are tons of women with my condition that aren't even thinking that they can get any level of relief. And this is just something that's really important for me to let them know, like they have other choices. This one's unconventional, but it is viable.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thank you, Charlene. Have a great day. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There it is, Reg.
Dude, that was great, man. That was
very informative. I didn't even know she making it in beakers and shit. Holy cow.
Man. I was just about to say at the end, I was going to say, why don't you just make the oil, sell the oil?
You got to get the stuff.
You got to have startup.
And it's not even, you can't just legally sell it. That's where drug dealing comes in.
Well, because, exactly. And then it's got to be up to code, and you know what I mean? Like it's got to be.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Yeah,
but I think that was really cool though, man. I mean,
very informative.
Super. She was and really nice, right? And it was cool, man, that she shared her story with us. I'm like, that's really awesome. So,
but all right, well,
thank you, Charlene Modeste.
Yeah. It's a surprise podcast. I mean, that'd drive me fucking mad to have to hear people every day coming up to you thinking you're pregnant. You're like, it's tumors, motherfucker.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. Like the fact I mean, I know we got to get out of here because it's been a while now, but people feel so at ease with touching other people's bodies because they think it's something, right? Like, you know, if you're pregnant, then there's this idea of like, oh, this is a beautiful thing. And it's, oh, can I touch your belly or can I do this? Man, look, I remember one time I'm sitting there with my son and Theo was a baby at this point, right? He had to be like all of 10 months, right? I'm sitting there with my kid and he was a cute kid. He was super cute. You saw, you remember Theo, right? At that point. Hey, man. And look, honestly, at that point for me, and even now, that's my most prized possession in the world, right? Like thinking about like this is my, as far as being a father and having a son, I'm like, this is my son. Hey, man, some white dude comes up and was like, oh, he's cute. And he fucking reaches over and he grabs my son's cheeks and he does this thing. Dude, when I say the level of anger that shot through my body in a sense of like, who do you think you are touching my kid? You can't touch my kid, right? Like what part of being alive makes you feel like you have the right to touch my kid?
Was he an older guy? Like
he was an older white guy. He was an
Italian guy just pulling the cheeks.
Yeah, but come on, man. It's, you know, some white guy, some random white dude on the street. I don't know where your hands have been. Come up touching my kid, right?
You can't. Yeah, it's true.
And then people after shows, there've been times where people after shows have come up and been like, hey man, you're really funny. Like I'm like, if you don't fucking get your hands off me, don't touch me.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, don't touch me. Like, yeah, I know that you're fascinated by the large black guy, right? And I know you probably haven't been around a lot of them and you want to get a feel, but you got to ask, right? You got to ask. You can't just come in here and start touching on me. Like, get out of here. So yeah.
All right, Reg, close us out, buddy. Good times.
Sucks. All right, man. Well, Sal, props to you on a great guest. It was wonderful talking to Charlene. Dude, my hands look huge right now. This is look at my right hand, or my left hand. Hand is big as hell.
This match your big head.
Big head, big body. Dude, they all go together. So, hey, thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to give a special shout out to our guest, Charlene Modeste. Thank you for joining us. Sal, thank you for the great guest. Please, I hope you enjoyed it. Please keep listening, subscribe, share, and
leave your comments. We'll share.
Yeah, leave your comments.
Especially when Reggie's wrong. I love hearing those.
I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
So I got nothing. So thank you once again. And we'll see you next week. That's Sal Kalani. I'm Reggie Steele. And this is Spitballin.